Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here. My show's going to be a little different today. I do two shows. The spiritual one is a little bit different than the other one. The other one's more about UFOs, aliens, and what's happening. But we're going to start off real simple, get as complex as you want. But here's the thing, people. You're not going to like everything you hear. You probably won't like much at all. But all I can do is give you my ultimate truth that I experienced in my 52 years of life, death, and everything in between. All right. Past lives are important. Reincarnation is important. Death is important, and so is birth. So I'm going to start off in the beginning. When you came here, you were born. All right. And from that point on, you were being programmed by your family, friends that came over, into whatever religion or path that you started following when you were little, or forced to follow when you were little. Some children weren't forced into anything, which is good and bad in a lot of different ways. They had their own way, own time to find out what they wanted to do and be and follow. But when you're forced into a religion, the common religions where I lived was Catholic and Protestant. And then the Jewish people came in and started that religion. But there's many religions on the planet. There are over 2,000 religions. I'm going to tell you straight out, people, you're not going to like the wording. There's only about 2 religions or paths that can tell you the truth more than any of the other ones. Christianity has what? 2.5 billion followers. Muslims have 2.3 billion followers, and I'm sure it's wrong on both numbers. And they could say very little about a real God. All right. Now, we're going to start how do you follow something? What do you want to follow? Why do you want to follow something? Where do you get your insight? I mean, that's the beginning of how you're going to create your own religion in your own life. Bad events make you go into different paths. Good events help you stay in whatever you're usually programmed in. I was a Protestant until I was 14. 14, I was allowed to go to my minister and ask him questions, and he couldn't answer 3 simple questions that I thought were simple. And I said, why am I in the path when they can't even tell you who God is, what God looks like, and what do you do when you get in heaven? So I started studying about 14 different religions. Catholic religion was not much better in any way. Jehovah's Witness, Hare Krishna, Moonies, all of them. They all talk about God, but they don't explain much about a true God. The God that man worships is a man-made God. Saying that we were made in his image or he was made in our image. No matter how you word that, it's wrong. All right, we're not made in his image, and he's not made in ours. But to think that there's a man, which is most accepted, sitting up there playing God. All right, the definition of God in the dictionary is pretty lame. Pull it up, look it up, see what you get out of it. You're not going to get much. All right, it usually says superpowers, super being. But it doesn't explain what God really is in any way, what it does or anything. He created all things. That's easy to say. What's that mean? Did he create himself? Did he create the universe? I mean, did he put himself in the universe? And where was he? Where was that? I mean, all those questions need to be answered in your own way and not expect somebody else to answer it. If you go along in life expecting people to teach you the truth, you're never going to get to the answers of the truth. I studied with many teachers, masters, deities, angels, you name it. And they can only teach you their truth. They can't teach you God's truth. They can't teach you the higher level of truth. You have to experience it. All right? Experience and things like that are the most important thing in this lifetime. Because you're here to learn something. Now, very few people have a clue what that is. Then again, with programming, everybody thinks they can save the world. Well, not everybody. A lot of people do. Or want to save the world, save the planet, save people, save. It's a programmed idea. Of course, all through history, mankind didn't save anybody. They killed anybody that was even close to being spiritual. They killed anybody that was poor that they needed not to feed and things like that. and the sexual problems and all that existed. All right. Women were never free, people. They were always slaves. I don't care who read, what you read, or where you read it. The Egyptians didn't respect women, the Mayans didn't respect women, and go back as far as you want. Women were never the most respected over men in any way, or even close to that. Love was not a real word. I spent 2 years trying to find that out. Love did not exist before someone came to this planet. All right. Compassion existed. The great so-called spiritualists talked about compassion and things like that. But that's not half as important as the real concept of what love is. We're going to get into that little by little, because love, as man perceives it, is not the highest level of anything. As we can see, what's the most important thing here? Here is, where is here? I used the word hell if you saw the wording. Now, let me explain that to people. Well, if you're bad, you go to hell. All right. The Pope said hell doesn't exist before he left. He died. All right. But hell is here, because this is the only plane level of awareness, whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it, dimension, is where you are, where you can experience pain, suffering, created, and things like that. You can kill somebody, you can torture somebody, you can beat somebody up, they could beat you up, they could run you over, they could chop you up. All those things are here. They could set you on fire, you could burn up, you could be frozen. All right. All those things can happen to you in this physical body. But when you die, what you truly are, that substance, which is called soul, leaves the body. It doesn't stay in the body. So when the body's burning, obviously, you're not burning up. So the concept of hell, and that's where you're going to go to burn up, is the biggest lie. Dante's Inferno with the 5 levels of hell, all a lie. All those things are experienced here. When you leave your body, you do not experience those things anymore. You can't kill a soul. You can't take out a hatchet, knife, saw, flamethrower, and burn up the soul. You can't. Soul's indestructible. All right. It's eternal. But it's still under the laws of the lower realms, and it's really under the laws of God. All right. So what happens if you got burnt up, got frozen, chopped up, drowned, whatever it is, the body's going to die. And in countries, they burn it. Some countries, they feed it to the birds. They do different things to the body. But that's not you. And it's not your mind. I'm not going to debate Buddhism right now, but I could debate anybody on that. I live with a Buddhist. It's really hard. Buddha never believed in God. Buddha never made it into the higher realms, even though there's multiple realms, and people think they make the highest realm here. There's 3 realms here. Not the third dimension. I'm not talking about first, second, and third dimension. I'm talking about 3 realms. And then there's the astral plane, and that has 3 realms. So that's 3, 6. Each one of them has 3 realms in it. Each realm is actually 3 instead of 1, but there's different aspects where you go depending on where you are when you go into that level. All right. But people that leave and say they went here and went to this, that, they only went to these 3 realms, or even the astral plane 3 realms. But when you're in a body, like you're looking at me right now, or you look in a mirror, that's not past the astral plane. People, all right, it's going to be hard to tell you this until I give you techniques, work with, try to see it and experience yourself, which is the most important thing you can learn. I'm going to talk about Jesus for main reasons, all right? The first thing I got to say, and I know some people don't even believe in reincarnation. I'm aware of all my lifetimes back to Atlantis and one before that. All right. Well, what's that mean? It means all the lifetimes I had were pretty useless. You don't learn much in a lifetime. Oh, I had a family. I had kids. I bought a car. I bought a house. What else did you do? Oh, I saved 2 people from drowning. Oh, I did this. I did that. What did you really do for God? Well, I saved the 2 people from drowning. If God didn't have, everybody has karma. Everybody gets what they deserve sooner or later. all right? And when you reincarnate with karma, you start at a very lower level. Soul usually moves forward, meaning you hopefully learn something in this lifetime, even if it's just a little bit. It'll help you in your next lifetime. But people, I'm telling you straight out, many people reincarnate without zero knowledge of anything they ever did before that. Soul's eternal. It's been here a really long time. So not to remember anything is kind of useless, don't you think? You don't go to school and college to come out and start in kindergarten again, do you? Hopefully not. It's the same as this reality. When you leave school, you're out in the world and you got to start doing something. Well, you got to make money. And money is the big program programmed into everybody in school and anywhere else. I'm dealing with Musk, trying to. And every fake Musk, every supposedly real Musk all talk about money, money, give me money, money, give me a car, and all these things. It's not about money. It's about what we can do in this reality. We can't create world peace, which we should have done a very long time ago. You know, the native people bartered with each other, a really good system. But when you think you own this and they own that, and we're going to charge you more money for that, and they're going to charge you more money for this, it's about money. It's not about children, people, family, not about life. It's not about spiritual awareness, which is, I'm going to get into that directly, but really going in this lifetime. Think about it. Ask yourself, what did you accomplish when you die? Oh, I have 4 beautiful children, beautiful wife. What about people that have like 3 beautiful wives? What about people that have 100 children? I mean, just exaggerations of things. Does that make you better? Well, I didn't have any children. Never got married. Does that make you worse? See, man accepted things for his own ego. Everything about Jesus, everything about Socrates, everything about these people, going back as far as you want, the Mayans, the Aztec, it was ego that ran it by the people in power. President, give me 1 split second, please. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right. Now, when we grow from a child, a little child, to a more of an adult, you know, the programming ideas of when is a child an adult, when is an adult a child? That's the way I word it. Because you could have an adult still like a child, and you can have a child still like an adult. Different countries, children at little young ages have to do the work of an adult. All right. And it's different in the United States than most other countries. And some countries are similar to us, but then some are very different. But where does that have to do with religion? Well, you got the Christians that believe going to church every Sunday makes them religious. All right. Then you have the Catholics that believe in confession. And there's a lot of things are changing. But man changes it to fit what they want it to fit, not what it should fit. A religion shouldn't have to change. Oh, the 10 Commandments need to change to what? A lesser idea of God, lesser idea of being good, lesser idea of loving each other. I mean, what do you need to change it to? The 10 Commandments weren't really laws. They were ways to live life by. And then Moses was even, I don't know what kind of word to say. He didn't like the 10 Commandments. He created 63 laws after that. Read the Old Testament. Read the first quarter of the Bible, and he talks about his laws and stuff. Pretty sick. The Hasidic Jews supposedly live by Moses' laws, and they cannot. Nobody can read them. All right. Now, I'm just going to throw you the opposite side of that. Christianity believes in confession and different things as well. All right. Go to Revelations, which is in the Bible, written by John, and he goes into one small part of it, which nobody ever reads. the things that cannot be forgiven. It's almost everything. When you commit sin in their eyes. You just can't ask for forgiveness. See, Jesus taught a lot of things, but people didn't understand God, for one. What was a God? They worship multiple gods. What would be one God? Oh, this deity, that deity. Mankind all through history had deities. They weren't called gods then. We use the word gods because that means higher power, bigger, stronger, all the kind of words that man create to create his image of what he wants God to be. All right. Is God loving? Think about that. I'm not going to answer right now. Is God loving? Is God caring? Did God create the universe? Did God create everything? All right. I'll tell you one thing. Free will was created by God. And we have the right to be and do what we want. But those reactions and actions create where we stay. Now, Satan is real. Lucifer is real. They're not the same. Now you got the Luciferians following Lucifer. They're not following Lucifer. They're following an idea of who Lucifer was, a false idea. Now, when we talk about gods in the old days, I mean, there was deities. They were all different kinds of deities. I mean, the most famous, Shiva, Durga, Kali, Tara. All right, I don't even know if you know half of them, but they controlled Hinduism, which was the first religion on this planet. And if you study it, it was a sexual religion. That's all it was. It was nothing else. Kama Sutra, Kundalini energy, and Tantra, and all those words fit into Hinduism, and they're all sexual words. Becoming sexual and attain God's energy and all those kind of ideas. But truthfully, the deities had problems with each other. And then they finally left and aliens did come. Now the deities are many. There was about 100, over 120, so I don't know anybody that could count them all or knew them all anyway. But when the aliens came, they were accepted as a god because they had power, more power than we did. They didn't have power per se. They were able to use psychic abilities, which we all had in Atlantis, and it was taken away. But they kept a few. Now, I'm not going to go into them in detail, but they can disappear. They can go through walls. They can do a lot of things, and that makes them a god to most people. So when aliens came, working with the Egyptians and the Mayans, I could tell you their history is all lies. All the hieroglyphics and the pyramids and everywhere else are lies. The way what they do to a person when they die, and I'm not just talking about embalming. They break the skull open, take the brain out, break the jaw. I mean, they do really bizarre things to a person. Never mind, let's put all these things in there so when he comes back, he can have it. All the stuff they were taught were lies. And why do you think they would do that? And then add in, why would they build pyramids? What was the whole idea of building giant buildings? Well, we don't talk about the giants. I mean, the book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible. And that was the time of the giants. So giants did roam here. And the little people did start killing them. It's a really bizarre story, but it's true. Now, when we started taking over the planet, we were being programmed by aliens. Like I said, the Egyptians and the Mayans wrote hieroglyphics on reincarnation. Look at their level and translation of it. Look what they did and everything else. They have no idea. And obviously they didn't come back. All right, the mummies and all that, the bodies that were found and things, none of that really happened because it's wrong. It's the wrong teaching. It was taught by an alien. Aliens, and I'm going to tell you, I've studied aliens all my life. I'm not going to get into that. That's what my other show is about. And it's on Thursday mornings, and I do it with a woman from England. But when you talk about that, soul is always who you are. Now, aliens have a soul, but it's not like ours. Now, the reason why I'll tell you that, when aliens die, they either reincarnate back into an alien that they were, or they reincarnate into a human. Now, if they're moving forward at a spiritual level, they come into a human body. And I know if you're in UFO, you hear a lot of people say, well, I'm a hybrid. I was an alien, and all those things. It's because it's a memory of that. I'm not saying everyone that says that it's true, but some of them are. All right, because when you reincarnate, you don't. Most people will never figure out what their last life was even. And usually soul progresses, which I keep bringing up. We move forward, hopefully. I mean, it's like going to grade school. If you stay in first grade forever, why go to school then? If you can't move to second grade, third grade, go into college and go out beyond that. Uh, but the other thing is, school teaches you nothing about spirit, death, God. I mean, because there's too many religions coming into the United States. The Native people had their religion. Then when the British and English came in, they put them in jail, killed them, and everything else along the way. But they didn't let their religion prosper. Now, the Catholics took all the teachings of the Native people and put it in the Vatican. They took every country, they took the secrets and teachings and put them in the Vatican. So if we get into that, maybe a new pope will let people go in there and stuff. Why miles of knowledge that's booked and chained and locked and all that, whatever. So we could go forward if we wanted to. But the things that stop us is what we do in the present. All these shows on TV about ancient aliens, ghost busting, and talking to spirits and all that. Parts of it are real. Parts of it are exaggerated. Parts of it are unknown. So when you're talking about something unknown, it's really hard to get into something important from it. I'm going to get into something near the end because it's happening really all over the United States right now, and the government's completely lying to everybody about it. But religion's no different. Religion shouldn't change. Now, the Pope who was the first Pope, all right? He was one of Jesus' disciples. They were all married people. And then why did suddenly the Pope couldn't get married? And man changes things to fit his ego. And women were never respected for 100 years after Jesus was killed. I mean, women were nothing, never were. But after that time frame, and I'm going to say that Mary Magdalene was the most spiritual woman to ever walk this planet. She finished teaching the disciples. When Jesus was killed, they were walking away. If she didn't bring them back together and introduce them to Jesus again, they would have never met him. But in the interim, Mary Magdalene was the only one other than Thomas that left the country alive. All the other disciples except one were killed. Anybody that practices Jesus' teachings were killed in that time. I was there. I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, it was horrible. Always was. Everything about it. All right. Women were never accepted. I mean, the whole thing when they were going to stone the woman, Mary, for having, I mean, all those stories are exaggerated because Mary Magdalene in the Bible had 4 different women's stories put on her as one person. All right. She was a goddess of a temple, not a slave or any other kind of word you want to imagine. But the Bible was written by man, and man likes to write things and make it better in his own perverted, twisted way, whatever's better for him. Now, I can go into a lot of things, but I don't get into too much stuff today because I don't want to blow your minds out in one shot. And if you don't like what you hear, you probably won't come back. Most people cannot absorb the truth or want to. They love what they're in. Oh, I got a religion, and I give money, and protected from what? We can go into that in detail. You're protected from what? Death? No. Being hurt? No. Getting sick? No. Well, I got healed. For how long? Healings are temporary. And if you go to a psychic to get healed, it's even more temporary, however you want to word it. All right. Nobody has the ability to heal another person. Now, what happens if you go to a psychic? I was starting to do healing work, and I didn't want to do it no more. All right, I stayed with a medicine woman for 27 years. But when you do healing work, you go into a person, they're starting to accept you already as a healer. So that means they said, well, you're going to be healed. They accept the idea, but it's coming from them. They can only do what the person themselves have and use that, and they throw it back at the person. So they're not the great healers that they claim to be. Sai Baba was one of the biggest fakers on the planet. All right, he went around doing magic to win people to believe he was this great healer. But there was so many fakers at the time. There was a group of people, I don't know what they were called, I watched many of their videos and stuff, went around proving all these so-called psychics were fake. I mean, one of the great healers was on stage, and they took a goat, and they said, if you can't heal him, you have to confess that you're a fake. And they took a snake and bit the goat, and the goat started drooping, and the healer was whacking with a feather and whacking him more, and finally the goat falls down dead. He had to admit in front of, I think there was 4,000 people, that he was a fake. You know, when they say healings, I was a stage magician and a real magician. I was a black magician, per se, but I was really a white magician, not a black magician. But, I mean, people call all witches black and they're blah, blah. They don't know the difference. But I learned many of the psychic abilities. I can't use them and I won't use them. They go against the energy of the planet right now, because we don't have the right to do a lot of those things anymore. So if some psychics go, oh, I can do all these things. One of the UFO people, a woman, and she's really famous, claims she could levitate and do it. She could levitate a piece of paper. And I told her 4 times, if you could levitate a piece of paper, you can levitate a car. It's not an object. You're changing energy to make it move, but you can't do that. Some show on TV was going around the world trying to find a person that could levitate. He went to Tibet, up in the mountains and stuff like that, and this person made him stand on the other side of the room, and he levitated like 2 inches off of the ground. I was a magician, so I know how everything used to be done. Now everything's so incredibly mechanical and electronic and stuff. It's hard to tell how things are done, but it's all fake anyway. All right. But now, when we talk about psychic abilities, Jesus had 32. He didn't use them all. Mary Magdalene had 32 psychic abilities. She didn't use them all, but she had to use some of them. She couldn't teach a disciple anything if she couldn't do it. How do you teach a person how to heal? How do you teach a person to do this or that? And there were very few spiritual people that could do any of that. I mean, the disciples were pretty much killed rather fast. They were out searching, and they had so many people on crosses and stuff. It was a horrible time. I stayed where I was because I was a goddess in the temple too, but I wasn't going to go anywhere. I didn't have any place to go. Mary Magdalene had a daughter, so she had to leave. And she did save her daughter. The Knights of Templar, there's another group before them, but the Knights of Templar started following Mary Magdalene and built temples for her and everything else. But again, they were killing all the Knights of Templar. That's when swords became part of everything, killing, and it was always a bad time. I mean, when Moses came to the Promised Land and British people there, they had to kill everybody that was there. I mean, there's nothing spiritual about disturbance you hear. Oh, well, he finally got him to the Promised Land. Wow, and what did they do? Kill everybody that was there. So, you know, when we say spiritual, what does it mean to you? Think about it. I listen to all these people. I listen to everybody I can. I'm going to get into out-of-body experiences and things too, if I can, before the show ends. But when I listen to these people, they all claim a title. A title means ego. I don't claim anything. I'm a person. I went through a lot of garbage, a lot of bad and worse stuff. But do I claim to be a spiritual healer? No, I don't want to be. Do I claim to be anything? God, godlike? No, I wish I was. I can only do the best I can while I'm here, and always keep my attention on trying to do that. And that's all you can do. But when things are bad and you know it and you still do it, that would be karma. That would be a sin. That would be whatever words that relate to whatever you believe in. Karma is something you don't want to create. The only thing you want to do with karma is remove it. Everything you do is a positive or negative side of karma. If you rob a bank, rob a person, beat a person, any of those things all create karma. And that karma has to be paid. No psychic's going to come and it's all gone. People believe that. The sad part is when they die, they got that karma sitting right there that they have to deal with, that brings them back into a different kind of life than they should be if they were moving forward. So, moves forward, like I said. But when it goes into the astral plane and being hanging out there for a while, it's getting its new life form where it's going to be born in based on their karma. You can work karma out when you get to the astral plane when you die. But if you have a lot, you can't work it out that fast. You stay there between 5 and 10 years. Their years are different than ours. It's a lot different time frame there. You can do a lot more. But then again, I said, if you have too much karma, you're not going to be able to work it out. Most people don't. Most people reincarnate. I reincarnate so many times, and most people will. All right? I'm not saying in 100 years from now, planet Earth might not be here. People will be on a new planet. Because this is like the training ground, and they have to have a place to go to learn. So there'll always be an Earth of some kind, whether it's this physical Earth now or a new Earth. There's 2 Earths out there that actually are very close to this one right now. An alien race wanted to take the government there, and they said no. And they documented that there's a planet that's very similar to ours in the distance way out there. But that doesn't matter, because we're here. We're here now, and we're not going to do the things that people with lots of money plan on doing. That's why I've been trying to get in touch with Musk for a year, but more of the fake Musk and one supposedly real Musk now. I wouldn't talk to him while he was friends with Trump. He knew what Trump was. I mean, Trump's the biggest liar in our government or ever was in our government. And we're going to live by that. He said he was going to be a dictator. He didn't lie about that. He told the world, first day, I'm going to be a dictator, day one. And everybody voted for him. Oh, I need a dictator for a president. Yes, we all do. Really? And then we have Musk paying people millions of dollars to vote for Trump. Who else did he pay off? The people that count the votes? I mean, all that is really never going to come out. And Trump's removing everybody that's against him, period. Lawyers, judges, people in Congress, people anywhere. He's removing them little by little that don't agree with his story. I watched his Congress meeting when they were in a room, and Musk was there even. He goes, well, anybody that doesn't agree with me, they're going to be out of here. All right? Just like that. He told them straight out. And if you have a decent job, which they all do, and they get paid for the rest of their life, you think you're going to walk away from that? How many people will walk away from a good job? Women marry men just because they have a good job. I mean, that's what love kind of really, oh, I love you so much. Yeah, because you got a nice paycheck every month. People, when we talk about religion, where do we go? To church on Sundays. What do they do? What do they work for the planet? Sure, they raise money for a charity, raise money for this. You know, when you can't take care of the people in your own neighborhood. Now, here's the contradictory. Why the Constitution was created in the United States. It can control the poor people. Now, if you're a rich person, you got a $400 million castle, city, whatever, and you got people moving in that are homeless and getting into a shack, whatever, are you going to be happy? Of course not. And why are they against the poor people? Why against the sick people? Why against? Because they got to see it and deal with it. And, oh, well, I don't want them in my town. I don't want them here. I don't want them there. All right. Everybody gets old. They should respect the elders. I mean, that was a phrase that came out how long ago? Respect your elders. And they don't. Nobody does. Not nobody. Most people don't. They're old. Let's put them in a home. I mean, children grow up not loving and compassionate. Every children know much about anything other than war. The games they play are slowly corrupting their mind, not about God, not about Jesus, not about anything spiritual, about killing armies, killing spaceships, and blowing up cars and tanks, and even sexual problems as well. I mean, they got sexual games that are bad. So, you know, children aren't being fed any good information. School teaches them what? 2 and 2 are 4? I mean, all the things you learn in school, unless you become some kind of graphic artist or something, these formulas and things don't mean anything. Building, yeah, some of the formulas work really good when you're trying to figure out flooring and walls and time. But when you're figuring out the travel in space and light years and all that, Is it going to help you in your life? Are you going to move forward in any way? All right. Do you know anything about love, family? I mean, home economics for women, they never had it for men when I was in school. But teaching people how to cook, everybody needs to learn how to cook or should, how to deal with relationships and things, how to work out problems, not how to create money. What can you do to create money? And that's all Musk is doing. That's all rich people do. Now, to show you what people do with money, two different multi-billionaires just bought 100 acres in Hawaii. And I'm going to say one name. Oprah bought 100 acres right after the fire on Maui, right next to it. And another multi-billionaire bought 100 acres on the opposite side of it. Now that land's worth a fortune. See, people lose track. I mean, Oprah was into religion for a pretty long time. Then she met Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle. Both of them have zero awareness of God. You know, Oprah asked Deepak Eckhart Tolle, well, what about death? He goes, well, my mother died, my father died. That's all he could say about it. I mean, people that are super rich, because of Oprah, and I did they had 21-day workshops, and I did every one of them trying to write to Oprah. When I wrote my first book, How to See God, I was trying to get it to her. I never did. I mean, I knew she was in California. I was trying to find a house and stuff. I was drove over the fence, but I never got to meet her, talk to her. But I must have wrote her thousands of letters in 25 years. And in the workshops, I wrote something every day. It was 21-day workshop. I put a message in there every day. Dear Oprah, blah, blah, blah. Never got back to me. In the UFO world, it's even worse right now, which I was in. I'm not I talk about it and stuff, but I'm not supporting the UFO world because they're not supporting the truth. We're in need of truth right now, people. Truth about God, truth about death, truth about life and birth, why we are born, why we do come here, why we have to reincarnate. All those things you need to know, or you should know. Because when you're on your dying bed and you're saying goodbye to your family, where do you think you're going to go? I'm going to come back and be their bodyguard. No, you're not. You're not an angel. People don't die and become angels, people. All the twisted, programmed ideas you have are just that. I studied 14 religions. Not one of them could answer anything about God. I went into a path called Ekankar. It was a starting point for me to understand much more of what's real. By that I mean learning how to leave your body, which is very critical. And now there's things that is called astral projection and remote viewing. Remote viewing is a lower aspect of it, but bad, because you're going into somebody's private energy and trying to see what they're doing. Astral projection means you're using your astral body to get out of this realm to go into the astral plane, which is a good step to learn what happens when you die. Now, religions don't teach any of that. I mean, Christianity thinks that Jesus is going to come pick everybody up and bring them back up to heaven. And what are they going to do up there? I mean, sit around and talk to their family? Most people have no clue about a heaven. I mean, I was 14, and when I asked my minister, what is God? Well, nobody really knows. I said, what do you do when you're in heaven? Nobody really knows. I said, and I got to work, I worked in a phone company, I got to work with churches and temples and all kinds of things. And I got into conversation with everybody I could, see what they know. I was actually in a church, and I was talking to 13 nuns, and they wanted me to come and teach them. And I said, no, I'm not here to teach you. You have your religion. When you want to leave it, then you'll find another religion. But with a woman in highest nuns, she's the one that created the way they wear their clothes, their hats, and everything. And she died about 6 months later. She gave me her book that she wrote. And it was not spiritual. I was blown away because it was more about what happened to her physical body than what any kind of spiritual thing. But when people say they're spiritual, they are not. I don't say I'm spiritual. I never did, and I don't. I say I'm on a spiritual path. That spiritual path is to understand God, which I'm well aware of, which I dealt with, and I know where I'm at right now. It's where you should be if you think you're getting old and you're going to die soon. If you're young, you still got time to work this all out. But if you're old, you don't. You have years, 10 years, 20 years. I mean, all these people dying now at 70. well, people I know, people I liked, everybody. When I was younger, when I was no, not 19, 17, sorry. 19 of my friends died in 1 year. All right. It's horrible. But now, like all these people that are dying, Hulk Hogan, I mean, he just died 2 days ago. I mean, these people that are really famous and big and are dying, well, kind of like, well, it's my age now. So do I got to worry? I'm not worried about dying. I'm worried about living. I'm not going to go into my life because it was really bad. But, when you leave, it doesn't get worse if you didn't go around killing people, beating people up, and things like that. It'll be better. The inner worlds, if you start learning how to get into them, are incredible. And it'll truly make you want to go there. Meaning you will not create karma. You will not do things intentionally wrong, which most people do. Oh, I could get away with this, or I could do this. It's a bad habit. It's a bad way to live life. And love, oh, I love you today, I love you for next year, and then, oh, no, I don't love you no more. I love her now. Oh, I'm going to love her for another 10 years. Love is just an abused word. Now, to understand love, you have to find God. And not the idea of God is sitting there protecting you, watching you, and all that. What God really is. Why God created multiple universes. Demons, entities, dragons, lizards, snakes, all those different things. Why? God, see, I know there was a phrase that I heard. Omnipresent, omnisignificant, and basically all things at the same time. But God grows. And it grows. So anybody that thinks they can grow big enough to be God, it was growing about 1,000 times, a million times greater every second because it's growing off of 8 billion people on this planet and what we do and what we learn. So, I mean, whether they'll ever create a dinosaur again or things that are like so outdated, but the oldest creature on the planet is a roach and it's still here. So why did that survive and multiple human races disappeared and things? Well, it's the planet's energy, vibration, why it's here, who controls it, and what we're supposed to learn while we're on it. If everything was rosy, you might not learn a thing. Pain and suffering helps you grow. I mean, it hurts, but it helps you grow a little more than being in a pleasurable situation. When you're in a pleasurable situation, you don't need to move on. You can stay there and be happy. Well, I got money, I got food, I got a beautiful car, I got a boat. Let's go on a boat today. Let's take our plane somewhere. All right, it's a different energy. Where do they want to move on to? Heaven? No, they got everything they want here. Saying be here and now? No. You're here and now because you have to be, but you don't need to stay here forever. And you sure shouldn't want to. Because, if you live to 120 or 150, you're going to see half of your family die. Does that make you sound happy? Oh, I'm going to be older than all my kids or my family, blah, blah. No, it shouldn't. You should worry about the future of the world. But now that we have Rumpo in presidency, we have a man that doesn't care about the earth, doesn't care about animals, doesn't care about much at all. His ego, all right? I mean, he's going to cover up his whole sexual life. I mean, we're in trouble. And he's got the power because people give him more power. Instead of taking it away, they give him more power. And Congress says, okay, you can do this, you can't do that. When we gave people that come in from other countries, they had protection, they could do whatever they want. Does that make sense? I wouldn't let you in my country if you could do whatever you want. So, people, what I'm going to try to get to in my next couple of lessons is the steps that you really need to work on to take into your life to move forward. Going to church every Sunday is not going to help you. Going to Mass, going to synagogue and everything, especially when they speak and you can't even understand what they're saying. I mean, that's pretty weird as well. Learning the truth, what's going on in your body, which you have to be aware of. But why are you here? What can you do for God? Think about it. What am I doing for God? Having sex, doing drugs, playing a game. I mean, all the things we take is what Satan gives us. Satan's not bad in a lot of ways. It gives people what they want, not what they don't want. I mean, he's going to kill me. He's going to take my life, and I'm going to sell my soul to him. Bob Dylan was the greatest writer in the United States. He wrote more songs that became #1 bestsellers for him and for other people. He did a video. It's probably online. You pull it up. He says, look, when I sold my soul to the devil, every song I wrote became a gold album. So people, Satan gives you what you want, but why does it give you what you want? Because it wants you to stay here. Does it want everybody to leave and go to heaven and leave it here alone? Do you understand that? And then now the Bible twists a little, and so does the people that translate who Lucifer was. Lucifer was a fallen angel, but so were all the other angels. Well, many of them. All right. They didn't lose their power. They just lose where they were. They went to higher realms, and they were all forced down. I mean, you really don't move forward until you grow to a point where you won't go against the spiritual laws. And then they were all fighting and everything else. So, yeah, they were all thrown down. But Lucifer is still a high angel. He was the angel of light. So when people say, well, Lucifer's so bad, no, I tell you, he's on the astral plane with 3 other deities. Or angels, not angels. Angels aren't as high as a deity. But these, I call them little gods, because God put them there for a reason, to stop people going from the astral plane into the next realm that don't deserve to go there. Now, if anybody was allowed to go anywhere, we have mass murderers going into the higher worlds and trying to do things up there. It's all protected, people. Our realms are protected. And I hate to say that I suffered. I went through so many things. I studied 14 religions, and each one I was trying to hope was bringing me closer to God, which they weren't. When I left, I'm not going to go into the bad parts, the really bad parts of my life, but I put myself through just about everything you can imagine to find out that there is a God, and it's real, but it's not what we perceive it to be. If God wanted, like if an alien wanted us to know they were here, they just say, hey, here I am. But God gave us a lot of things to work with. And until we learn how to find them and work with that, your vibration, everybody says, raise your vibration. How do you love people? That's a slightly way to do it. You can't love something unless you know all about it. How do you love God if you don't know anything about it for real? Oh, it cares about me, it loves me. Because who told you that? You just got hit by a car and lost your arm. Oh, God loves me. When your child just got run over. Oh, God loves me. People want to believe so bad, no matter how bad it is, they still want to believe. Believe that God's not what you perceive it to be. God didn't create the earth to watch it day and night. All right, that's why angels are here. And angels try to protect people, but most people don't listen to their own angels. Everybody has angels, people. We all have 2 or 3. And they're willing to stay there until you're ready to work with them. But I'm sure in time, they decide that you're not ever going to try to talk to them, work with them, or move on from where you are. All right? And that's the most important step. When you learn to leave your body, which is the most important first thing you do, you have to learn to meet your guide, your angel. And then you have to learn how to tell if it's a good angel or a deity, an entity, or whatever it is. All these things take time. I'm 22, and I learned most of my stuff within the past 25 years of my life. All right. I learned things. I learned it was a God. I learned it was deities and realms and all that, but I didn't learn everything. Not until rather recently did I learn the ultimate truth. The saying God is what it is. And it's not going to be perceived by most people. And when you start growing spiritually, growing into it, and you're working with angels, you'll be taken to God. One time by an angel. The next time you will be by yourself. All right. At that point, you'll take a giant step in growth because now you know more than you ever did in all your lifetimes. Because once you attain that, like an angel that's in the higher realms, You don't lose it unless you do some really bad things to create heavy-duty karma, which is something you have to avoid, no matter what the excuse is. You know the story when Jesus said, turn your cheek? I said, turn your cheek this way, turn your cheek that way, and the third cheek, you punch them out. All right? That's my solution. But, again, you don't intentionally kill somebody. You don't intentionally run a cattle or hurt it or anything like that. But we insist on torturing animals to eat them. We insist on, let me go backwards. In Atlantis, we did not eat animals. We didn't. All right? We didn't kill. We didn't kill things except plants. My plants are alive in some way, but they don't have a soul. So you could talk to them. Yeah, you could talk to a plant. Their vibration, they vibrate. I mean, the vibration makes them move and stuff like that. But we had 32 psychic abilities. We can see each other's words, hear it from inside out. We couldn't lie, couldn't steal, couldn't cheat. So it wasn't easy to do anything bad. It was almost impossible. And you didn't want to. Everybody shared and everybody worked together. And then an alien race came here and said, no, we don't want you to be loving beings. So that's when Atlantis was destroyed. But people, most people aren't ever going to go that far back in history or want to go back that far. Jesus was born 200 years ago, right? And basically at that point, even his stories were twisted. He wasn't born in a manger, he was born in a cave. He was hiding out. I mean, he had to be somewhere where nobody would find him. I mean, 3 wise men found him. All right. But in the interim, he had to be hidden and all those kind of things. It wasn't like public. And the date, they have no real exact date when it happened or whatever. But as he grew, when he disappeared for a few years, right, they have no clue what he did. Well, the word is what he went through that nobody else ever did. Nobody today even. It's called ascension. Mary Magdalene did too. But when you go through ascension, you go into the higher realm of the astral plane, and you learn 32 psychic abilities. All right, which he did, and he came back. And he was able to do them. Mary Magdalene was also able to do them. But again, you can't use them unwisely. You have to use them completely wisely. Now, Moses had abilities, but he used them all unwisely. He was a black magician. Magic, when it's used to kill, is called black magic. White magic is used to heal. So when he threw these things out and stuff, and that killed people and killed this, that, sure, he got the same thing back from Pharaoh and things like that, but it was really bad things happened. The amount of people that died because of Moses is incredible. His people and the other people. So to say he was the most spiritual person, like again, going back to the promised land. Oh, you got to kill them. They don't believe what we do. He wasn't allowed in the promised land. Now, who wrote that in the Bible? Moses. And why did he say it? He didn't say in the Bible why he wasn't allowed into the promised land. Well, there was no promised land in the physical world. That was the problem. The promised land is the higher realm. Jesus spoke about that. Heaven wasn't here and now. I mean, the idea that was created from men's twisted thinking and ego is always about protecting a man, not women. It took a while for women to be a little more accepted after Jesus left even. But it started to change. All right. But now race became another serious issue. Women and black people weren't allowed to vote until the 20s. I mean, the Constitution was created by rich idiots, for a word. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was a little bit different, but he rode across the southern United States killing people. So what spiritual truth did he have? On the other hand, George Washington was a psychic, for real. I could do a whole story on that, but he was a psychic. He was able to leave the remote view. He knew where to attack and things like that. But he had his people kill so many tribes. He gave the order to let one tribe survive while he gave the order to kill 3 other tribes. There was over 500 tribes. So when he gave his orders, Jefferson went across the southern United, before he became president, went across the southern part of the United States, killing every tribe he could. And nothing spiritual was going on there. So psychic doesn't mean spiritual. Many people believe psychic means spiritual. Oh, he's psychic. He can talk to who? A demon, an entity. Who's he talking to? God? God doesn't talk to people here. What do you think God would say to any person on this planet? What do you want to say? What do you want to ask me? You got something important to ask me? Really, God doesn't talk in the words anyway. But again, we want to believe things so much. We created our God. We created our religions. And they're all man created. Jesus wasn't a religion. Jesus was a man. He never, ever in his life said he was God. I mean, one phrase in the Bible where it says, he and I are one. Yeah, you can be one with somebody in emotion and feelings and stuff. But that doesn't make you that person. It doesn't make you God. God doesn't and can't be killed. Jesus had his body taken away. All right, his soul wasn't killed. Soul can't die. But souls, and to understand what a soul is, simplest way I describe it, you have a mirror, drop it on the floor. The biggest piece of the mirror is God. The real little pieces are souls. And they're trying to find their way back to the mirror. All right, just a simple idea, rough idea, but we're small aspects of God. We're not God and never will be. All right, when we get closer to God, we just can do more for God, not become God. All right, I spent years working in each realm, and I'm not going into details now because it was hardcore. I worked with a Tibetan master who wanted to go into the astral plane and kill demons and stuff, entities, and I never wanted to do that. I was always protected, including from aliens. My stories run in the UFO world, that's part of it, but I challenged God a few times in my life, and I always got what I asked for. All right, and I won't do it on a regular basis under any circumstances. I don't want to take stuff that could be used for other people. And then I even realized that's even wrong. Because if you say, well, I don't deserve it, then you got a problem because God doesn't give you anything you don't deserve. Remember that. Or I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that. Or if you get something, wow, I didn't deserve this. Guess what? You did. I turned down many things that were worth lots of money, not realizing it. But when you're given a gift, take it. That's one word of advice I'll give you. Anybody gives you a gift, take it. Now, in a Native nation, the word Indian given is not taking it back. Just so you know, it means when I give you something, you give me back something worth more than what they gave you. That's Indian given, really, people. I mean, smoking a peace pipe, it wasn't a peace pipe. They weren't at peace. They were never at peace. It was a prayer pipe. They prayed. But the prayers never came through. So, you know, religion and prayer have never changed reality. People go, well, pray. We can pray. You do what you want. Action, I mean, Jesus spoke about it too. Without words, without action, never become reality. Native people spoke that even. It's an important sentence to remember that you can pray and dance and jump up and down, but if you don't go out and do something, nothing's going to happen. If everybody sat in the house and just prayed that Trump get killed, think he's going to die and everything's going to be okay? You know, people are in the wrong frame of mind if you believe everything's okay, which it's not. It's not getting better. All right, well, Jesus is going to come back. Jesus is not coming back. Why would he? Jesus would only kill him again. Maybe not you personally, but somebody would. Many people would try. And he doesn't come back as a God. And if God came back as God, the world would be destroyed instantly. Its vibration would blow this planet right up. People, I'm going to end it there. All right. My email is up. I got comments. Sorry. Thank you, people, for listening. I appreciate it. Brian, hello. My email, I'm going to put it up. If you want to talk and get into some really important things, or ask questions and come on the show if you got something good to say, was similar to what I was talking about. But people, remember, the truth's out there. You have to be willing to take a giant step forward, because comfort zone is too easy to stay in, and that's why it's called the comfort zone. Movement, no matter what path you follow, needs movement, but in the right direction. You can't move away from your path. If you say you're a religionist of a tribe or a religion, Catholic, Protestant, follow the rules that you created. Don't change them. Change, we change. We change to make things worse. We don't change to make things better. Technology is bringing us further and further away from God, further and further away from the truth. Going into space, going into the universe, is that going to help us become better? Really? Living on Mars, is that going to make you a better person in any way? Going to the moon, is that making you a better person? None of this stuff helps. Respect, honor. I mean, the Ten Commandments are incredible. I mean, even if they were followed partially by everybody, the world would be an incredible place. All right? But if you don't believe that killing is wrong, carrying a gun is wrong. You know, guns were allowed for the white people to carry them because they were killing Native people and getting paid for it. For real. I'm not making that up. Children, women, and men each had a different salary on their head if they were killed. The white man brought the scalp to the cavalry to show that they really killed that person. All right? It wasn't the Native people scalping us. They were taking our fingers. Taking people's fingers, not mine, but taking fingers. But in the interim, those scalps were worth money. So if you went back with 5 scalps, you got paid by the size of the scalp and everything. Was a woman, was a man, or a child. It's horrible things that we went through. The white man was pretty evil in the United States. And it seems like Trump's really happy about a constitution that's no longer real, and he's creating it in his own way, making it worse, not better. But it was supposed to be created for us as people, that we decide what happens, not the government. I mean, everything should be voted on. Everything. Should have an instant voting ballot and things like that. What people want, and get an idea of more people what they want to eat, what they want to do, how much they want to pay for public utilities and things like that. Who has to make all the money on it? Now, some countries, my one student is in another country, everybody gets paid the same. The doctors, the lawyers, the people that work, and people that are on disability. They all get paid the same. Sounds crazy. He's a martial artist. If he works, the government takes any money he makes. It's bizarre. You talk about dictatorship. Now, if Trump's trying to follow dictators, like having a parade with all his weapons, I mean, his ideas are pretty pathetic. But if he's watching Russia, mainly, China, and what they do and how they promote themselves as a leader, not a dictator, he's simulating it. And it's not going to get better. I mean, if we don't hold him accountable to the constitutional laws right now, we will lose everything we have. And there's multiple other things happening at the same time, which are just as bad, but I'm not going to go into that. But people, look, I will do the show as often as I can. I've been going through so much. I'm dealing with so many different things right now. But I try to do this. This is what I feel I have to do before I die. People need to know a lot more than they do, even though they don't want to. And I don't have a lot of followers a lot because people hear something and they don't like it. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not real or important. All right? While they believe something's really important, whatever it is, well, I'm forgiven. For what? Killing somebody? Doing 1,000 Hail Marys is going to really help you get somewhere in life? I mean, you see the mob going to a priest and the stories on TV and stuff. You should laugh because, that's what everybody does. All my friends when I was little were Catholic. And they were all going to confession on Fridays. They said, "What'd you confess?" "Well, I cursed and I did this and I did that." And I said, "Now you're forgiven?" "Oh, yeah, he forgave us." Really? Who's he? If you want forgiveness from God, that's the only place you can go to get it. Don't go to a second-rate person to get it, people. Pray to your inner self. Pray to your true self. Pray how to talk to God, understand it. even be in touch with its energy. All those things could help you grow inside and out. All right. Not saying you can't live life. You can't have a wife, can't have children. You need to respect them as much as they should respect you and your wife or your husband, whatever. We can't move forward, and we won't if that doesn't happen. We're destroying, look at how many deaths this year on the multiple reasons. Now we're playing with the weather. Trump says there's no problem with the weather. Really? Does he know anything about a directed energy beam and what it does to the planet and all the things, chemtrails, what's really happening? Of course not. He doesn't care. All right, people. I'm glad you're here. Thank you all for coming in. Please send this link to anybody you can. My email, hawksblood1@aol.com, is online. I'm on Team now. Skype moved to Team, became Team. I'm Hawksblood11. I don't mind talking. I'd rather talk than type or anything else, people. But remember, you heard it, and I'm not running away from who I am. I live in the truth and will die in the truth no matter what. That's my life. That's my mission. That's my death. Peace, everybody.